People say, what am I going to get from working with you coaching? I said, I'm going to teach you not to think.
Mm.
What will I do if I don't think? I said, you're going to know. Would you rather think or know? Oh, I'd rather know.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Your Customer, Your Success. My guest today is Steve Barton. Steve is an executive coach, author, and creator of The Game of 10, a powerful awareness based framework helping leaders operate at their highest level of clarity, confidence, and performance. Steve has over 47 years of real world business experience, having grown a family florist business from 200,000 to over 2 million in revenue. His work blends practical business strategy with deep insight into human awareness, decision making, and emotional intelligence. He is also the co author of The Father, the Son, and the Aha Moment, and is currently writing his next book focused on helping leaders and professionals develop the mindset, emotional clarity, and inner alignment needed to succeed in both business and life. Steve, welcome to the show.
Gary, thank you so much for having me on. I'm really looking forward to your podcast, and I've listened to a couple of episodes, and I'm a fan. So,
Oh,
and you're a New Englander too, which makes it even easier for us to communicate in our New England language. So,
and our common background. Steve, thank you very much for that. And Steve is coming to us from the great state of Maine, and I married a Maine girl, and one of my wisest, if not my wisest, decisions ever. And we were just talking about the great state of Maine. So this summer, I spent a week in New Hampshire with all the folks from Maine. So I love it, love that state, and love going to visit up there. So let's get to business, though, Steve. What an interesting background you have! Wow. You started you built the family florist business over, I don't know, roughly 3 decades, was it? What did running that business let's start it off with this. What did running that business teach you that a lot of leaders miss?
resilience and never give up. I think that was the strongest thing I learned. Uh, I learned about letting go of my ego and going from intuition and intentionality and sticking to it. So that's what I learned. Those are the big lessons I learned. And it was not easy. And you got to go through it to get over it. So,
Yeah. Some that is some serious real world experience. So tell us about this game of 10 framework. What is it and why is it different?
well, what is different in that a lot of people and a lot of coaches, therapists, they get you to there, but the game of 10 is based on you're already there. And then how do you peg off the limiting beliefs, the fear, the self-doubt, the guilt and the shame that holds us back? And from before we even can remember, you don't even have to go back to talking about, it's not like talk therapy. It's about just letting it go. It's over. It's done. Let's move forward. So it's really common sense that's not very common. So I think that's the difference.
Because common sense isn't very common sometimes, that's for sure. So what are people operating in? I think you have another you call this the game often played. Do I have this right? So that's
Yes,
what people are kind of operating in usually?
that's why I call it often,
Yeah.
which is a fun play. Actually, one of my marketing people said, you can have the game of 10 and, you can also have the game often played. I said, brilliant. Because our ego or our conditioned mind or our conditioned identity is running on autopilot. It's our subconscious. It's our inner child playing out on a subconscious level without us, well, subconscious, so we aren't even aware of it. So the game of 10 is based on unconditioned awareness, which is also another word for unconditioned love, because that's energetically, spiritually, that's who we are. And been conditioned knowingly or unknowingly, mostly unknowingly, that these conditions, think of it like this. I'll be happy when hit the green agree button and there we go. We're off to the races. And no, you won't,
Mm,
because you're in that loop of conditionality that you'll never get there. I like to say I am the shiny, everyone is the shiny object, everyone is the carrot, There is no box, and let's move on.
That's so this is very different, right? And I think you're going to have some explain to do to folks to really kind of to grasp the concept.
Yeah.
But what it's rooted in is what you just said about the subconscious and driving your decisions daily. And it was Will Leach a few weeks ago, maybe a month or two ago, that talked about how many decisions are made through you make a day every day. And you talked about that to me before as well. There's I forget the number. There's like tens of thousands of decisions we make a day, and most of them are negative, right? Is that where this comes from?
Well, I wouldn't say decisions, but I'd say thoughts. So the
Thoughts.
Cleveland
Yes, sorry.
Clinic, I don't know, 20 years ago or more, did a did a study on how many thoughts the average human being has, and they came up with 60,000 thoughts a day. And from those 60,000 thoughts, 80% are from the past. So we're operating on old data. What else is alarming is that there's a negativity bias from our identity or our ego. And 80% of our thoughts that we have are negative. So
Oof.
if we're working on the subconscious level of thinking, then the odds are it's going to be 80% negative, 20% positive. I like to say 100% insane because we are just using old data to do current experiential living, making decisions from old data that doesn't make any sense in the present moment because the present moment is all there is. Eckhart Tolle does a great job on explaining that that's all there is. The infinite now is the present moment. That's why it's called the present. It's a gift to use but we are conditioned to be out of it, to thinking of the future, which causes anxiety, thinking of the past, which causes guilt and shame. Why didn't I do that? What, oh, I made a mistake. I've got to limit myself. I can't make that mistake again. So it's very limiting. But when you're in the present moment, in that sweet spot of awareness, which is the present moment, that's when it can be infinitely expanded. And then use your thoughts as tools, use your emotions as tools, use your perceptions as tools, use your mind as a tool, use your body as a tool, use your um, identity as a tool, develop it, sharpen it, really develop it and align it with your awareness.
So a lot of this is driven by your concept of awareness, which I think is a little different than most people would expect. So
Mhm.
why don't you take
Mhm.
us through that because this I think is a little unique.
Yeah, awareness in my definition is without thought. So being that is the whole premise of transcendental meditation, is the whole concept of meditating, thinking of your thoughts as clouds. They come and they go, they move, but we are the sky. So you really want to have that metaphor to be, we are the expansive, open minded, infinitely aware where you can connect and download from awareness into ideas. They're not forms. Um, Intentionality, it's formless. And then we move into using our rational mind, left brain, we go into form. Thoughts are things, they're thought forms. So we're using thoughts, forms to create what we have an formless idea from an intentional idea, goal, big goal, hopefully. Once you get to 10, then the sky's the limit. And then really do you want to expand on this? How are we going to do it? So using your left side of your brain and your right side, first your right side for the idea, work bring it to your left brain side to put it into physical form.
Wow. So let's put this in a business context, right? Because
Mhm.
most leaders, executives are trained to, think harder when things get complicated, or you're told to go back and rethink this or whatever. Are they missing something here? Or is
Yep.
this, yeah? So, walk us through that because this is
Well,
fascinating.
Well, how many times, Gary, were you taught by your parents, teachers, or significant people in your life? Gary, what were you thinking?
What
Think,
what were
think
you thinking?
harder. think
And
harder. What are you doing? We've been traumatized into thinking
mm,
and ingrained into how do you think yourself? You're going to think yourself out of a problem that you created and make it worse. So you really have to undo those traumas. So the game of 10 is essentially based on the concept that we're all appointed 10, perfect as we are.
mm,
And through life situations, being traumatized by thinking or not, and feeling guilty that we didn't think the right way and being wrong, and really it's societal trauma that we have to undo. Okay. I
mhm,
mean, we do have physical abuse, we have mental abuse, we have all these abuses. These are traumas. But even a disappointment that you didn't get the grade you wanted, you didn't get the girlfriend you wanted, you have these disappointed appointments. Okay.
mhm,
So the key is to undo the disappointments. And those are thoughts. People think they have to let go of the person, place, or situation, or forgive a person, place, or situation that happened to them or disappointed them. The fact of the matter is, we have to let go of the thought around them and the story we created around it and the emotional that we attach to it. And these things stay in us, in our
mm.
subconscious, until we bring them to consciousness and then have a process of letting them go. And the fun, the strange thing is, or the thing that's not very common is, people think they can let go or forgive a person, place, or situation at the level of the disappointment or trauma that it caused us. And
Mm.
you can't. So you have to give it to your 10 or your highest self to do it for you, because you acknowledge it, you allow it, you feel it. I say for 5 minutes, and then I'll share with the audience how I've been trained to do it. So
And,
it's a process. And go ahead.
yeah, no, I was gonna say, please do. It does sound like a process.
It is. So why don't we play the game of 10? And 10 is our highest level of awareness. It's
Okay.
who we are. It's our thought, authentic self. It is our divine being. So when we say I am 10, that's what we're proclaiming. So it's a series of 6 phrases that we'll see what happens when we do it. Okay. So I'll begin. I'm 10.
And I'm supposed to respond?
Yes, please.
I'm 10, or am I supposed to say what I think I am?
No.
I don't know.
Gary, nobody cares what you think you are. Okay.
Okay. I'm 10.
I'm doing the best that I can with the awareness that I have.
I'm doing the best that I can with the awareness that I have.
I'm always right with the awareness that I have.
I'm always right with the awareness that I have.
I am enough.
I am enough.
I do enough.
I do enough.
I have enough.
I have enough.
Those 6 phrases answers all the questions our ego is constantly checking in with us. That is that obnoxious voice in our head that keeps us up at 3 in the morning, that comes in and thinks over things and keeps us from awareness. The first phrase is a declaration of who we are. The next 2 phrases, I'm doing the best I can with the awareness I have. I'm always right with the awareness I have. And this goes for everybody. Everyone's 10. Everyone's doing the best they can with the awareness they have. Everyone's always right with the awareness. Those 2 phrases are declarations of our innocence and their innocence. And it puts us on an equal playing field, opening communication. The next 3 phrases, I am enough, I do enough, and I have enough, it puts us into the be, do, have of the present moment. And what a lot of people, and Eckhart Tolle spent a whole book on, the power of now. And what I've figured out was, that is time, what is space? And the universal space of consciousness, of awareness, is the concept of enough. And enough puts us into a state of grace, gratitude, appreciation. Um, and you can't have anxiety, you cannot have depression if you start just listing off everything you're grateful for. Just it's not possible.
Mhm.
So that quiets the mind. Once the mind is turned off, put in its place, back in its tool shed or toolbox, now you can start doing the real work and you can start downloading from your intuition, from your big ideas. Where guide me? You're basically surrendering your mind to your awareness. And when you do that, that's when the big stuff starts coming in. The synchronicities start happening. The awareness. You meet people. They say that, "Oh my God, I was just thinking about this." Here you are. Da, da. It opens your
Mhm.
mind to your awareness and open up your conscious. But also, these phrases also open up your subconscious into Pandora's box. Okay, so
Mhm.
for those who are saying these phrases, listen to me carefully because you've got to let go of those limiting beliefs that you are not enough, you don't do enough, you don't have enough, you're not always right with the awareness you have, you're not doing the best you can with the awareness, and you definitely aren't 10. Okay,
Mm. Mhm.
right? That's
Mhm.
the game often played, the imposter syndrome category.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. So when these negative or um, less than disappointments come up, you do have to feel. I call this the nail in the foot. The nail in the foot. It hurt going in. It hurts coming out. You have to recognize it. You have to let it go, and but that's when the healing begins. So your healing, stuff from your childhood will come up. Stuff from yesterday may come up. Stuff that you are uncomfortable situations will come up. So we have to have a way of releasing these. And I had a client once who, a month into our coaching, said, "Steve, I'm worse off now than I was before." I said, "Are you doing the phrases?" "Yes." "Are you doing the next phase that I'm going to talk about?" "No." I said, "You just opened up Pandora's box in your mind
Mhm.
and you haven't let anything go.
Mm.
No wonder." So, anyway, Marianne Williamson was my coach during COVID for Miracle Minded Coaching. I first went to the Gestalt International Study Center, and she was great. She's been a spiritual teacher for over 30 years with A Course in Miracles, and she taught me uh, a process of letting go or forgiveness. And I'll share that with you and your audience. So above our ears, we have two things: temples, on each side. So the concept as she uh, presented it was, we're an idea in the mind of God, God's an idea in the mind of us. The game of 10, 10 is the divine source awareness, whatever you want to call it. And so in your mind, create a temple. So Gary, create your own God-like temple in your mind.
Okay.
And in that temple, create an altar.
Okay.
Because as I said before, you can't solve a problem. Well, Einstein says you can't solve a problem at the level it was created. We can't let go at the level of the pain that we interpreted as pain. The disappointment, the guilt, the shame of how we disappointed ourselves, how we disappointed others. So we have to give that pain to our higher self. And we do that by we have to sit with them for 5 minutes and just say, okay, here's something that came up. So if we do the phrases, think about that. Think of something, you and your audience, think of something that you'd like to let go of. An idea, a thought from the past, yesterday, 40 years ago, that keeps coming up because it will always keep coming up until you let it go. Now take that concept and put them into thoughts. The thought about, I'm not enough, I don't do enough, I don't have enough, I'm not right, I'm not 10.
Mhm.
And I was a florist, so I make a bouquet of them. And when I first do this with clients, I tell them, "Do you might want to rent a dump truck to take the first load up there?" And eventually, you whittle it down to, okay. I do this process about 3 or 4 times a day, 5 times max,
Mm.
and I'm constantly letting go of stuff that's in my mind that's no longer necessary. So when you take these thoughts to the altar, basically you want to say, I'm willing to see things differently because we were willing to take it in as a pain or emotional pain or disappointment. We have to be willing to let it go. So the good news is The bad news is it's in there. The good news is you can let it go, but you
Mm,
can't do it at from the level of the game often played. You have to give it to your authentic self, your being, your awareness that is connected to all awareness.
wow. This is absolutely powerful and fascinating stuff. And it did strike a chord with me because I was waking up at 3, 4 in the morning with thoughts racing through my head earlier this year, until I made the career change that I recently did, because I just felt like it wasn't working what I was doing, and I wasn't enough. To put it in your language, that I couldn't do it, and I knew in my head it wasn't going to work, and I needed to do something different, which I'm doing now. And Jesus Christ, am I sleeping good now?
I love it. Yeah, I
Eh,
mean, it's common sense that's not very common, isn't it?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's where it just in being introduced to this right here, right now, where that struck a chord with me for sure. And I think a lot of it, folks do wake up 3, 4 in the morning, and it is the anxiety is, now that I'm thinking of it, probably wrapped around I'm not enough, or I'm not good enough, or I don't know enough, or I'm not working hard enough, or someone think, or is this, how about someone thinks I'm not working hard enough, right? To put that in the corporate
Yep.
perspective, because to kind of to slide this over to the business world, right? I think um we're not usually thinking in this way, right? So
Well, I'm teaching you not to think, I'm teaching you to know.
right, exactly.
So people say, what am I gonna get from working with you coaching? I said, "I'm gonna teach you not to think."
Mm,
"What will I do if I don't think?" I said, "You're gonna know. Would you rather think or know?" "Oh, I'd rather know."
right.
"Okay."
So there's an element of intuition here, right?
Oh, it's based on intuition,
Right. Now,
and go
I'm
ahead.
very logical, and I do
Mhm.
think through things, probably think too much, but I do have a good intuition and a spidey sense. I felt
Yeah.
over the years, because I've run into problems in the corporate world, because I'm sitting there going, I say this all the time. Things I say, people think I'm nuts, or they're upset with me, or whatever, and it comes true 6 months later, because my spidey sense and my intuition, built on years of experience, says we're doing something the wrong way, we're managing this relationship the wrong way, and this person isn't going to be there long, whatever. But I say it all the time. I say something, people think I'm crazy, and 6 months to a year later, I'm proven right. So is that the kind
Yep.
of thing we're talking about?
Yeah, a lot of people think I'm crazy,
A lot of
and
people.
and my response is like a fox, and I walk away.
And it's,
Well,
well,
think of it this way, if they're coming from a level of 5, for example, anyone in business, you can't survive with awareness less than 5.
mm,
You're on medication and you're working at such low awareness that my typical clients that I take on 6 and above, typically. They've done enough work to know that something's off. And my job is to get them to realize something's off and get them into alignment. So if you're working from 6, if someone's coming at you from 6 and you're operating from intuition and awareness, they are going to think you're crazy because it makes no sense. All
yeah.
they can understand is sixes attract sixes.
Mm,
You get 60% of what you asked for. Sevens attract sevens because everything that we, at the level of awareness, we attracted into our lives, our friends, our perceptions, uh, our situations, we attract it. We're magnets to it. So the level of our awareness is what we attract into our life. So it's going to be just like, if you're coming from 10 and you're just open minded and excited about everything, people are going to think you are as batshit bonkers, because it doesn't make sense to them. Of course, they're
yeah.
going to think you're crazy. If people don't think I'm crazy, I'm not doing my job.
If you're not, there you go. I love it. I
Mhm.
love it. So these levels, where do they come? Is that you help people realize what level they're at? Is there some kind of thing, or do you have that person try to figure out for themselves where they're at, or both?
No, I do. I do. I mean, I do the quick test. I don't want you to out yourself. On a scale of 1 to 10, I ask them how happy, healthy, wealthy, healed, and whole are you in your mind right now, and don't think about it. Just give me a number. So everyone in the audience, come up with a number. Okay.
Mhm.
Probably, I don't know what it is. It's between 1 and 9.
Mhm.
Okay. Or 1 and 10.
Mhm.
If someone says to me I'm a 10, my first response is, or do you need a friend?
Yeah.
Yes, because people who are operating from that level of awareness, you limit the playing field around you.
Hmm.
So, but it's lonely at the top, but wow, what a view, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
So, so the gap is where we fill it in with thought. And that gap, let's say, for example, someone's 6. So between 6 and 10, there's a gap, and we're going to fill it with an addiction. It can be name off all the addictions,
Mm.
and Eckhart Tolle said it perfectly. The biggest addiction we have in this world is thinking and overthinking.
Mm. Interesting.
So what we want to do is fill in that gap with expanding our awareness. And we lower our awareness by giving our power away to a person, place, or situation. It can be a job, it can be a relationship, it can be um, yeah, it's a relationship outside of us. So we're giving our inner power to the outside world. So we're only working on a lower level, and it is essentially depression. We have to depress our energetic being, spirit, soul, whatever you want to call it. We have to depress it, and basically we push it outside of us, and we're giving it to others, a person, place, or situation, and we're operating on a gas tank that's 60% full versus 100% full,
Mm.
and on 100% of our awareness. So it's a kind of unconscious out of body experience that we didn't fill ourselves up and maintain that fullness, and to tap into awareness, which is overflowing. It's like a wellspring that just keeps flowing. And oftentimes, well, all the time, when we deplete ourselves, we're giving our power away, and it's using, but through not having clear boundaries.
Mm.
And that's where it comes in, holding your boundaries, loving boundaries. And Marianne used the Course in Miracles phrase. Sometimes love says yes, sometimes love says no. Sometimes love says stay, and sometimes love says go. In business, you say sometimes respect says love. I mean, excuse me.
Yep.
Sometimes respect says yes, sometimes respect says no. Sometimes respect says stay, and sometimes respect says go. And when you left your business, your other career, you said, out of respect for myself, I'm leaving.
Mm.
And out of respect for them, I'm leaving. Right?
Mhm. Yeah. Interesting. Absolutely fascinating stuff. So let's take that a step further because you talked about forgiveness a few minutes ago,
Mhm.
and you're kind of getting into that territory again. But I've had this question ready for you. You said there's a difference between forgiving a person and letting go of the thoughts you're holding about them. So let's put this in a business. No,
You and
no,
me. Yep,
okay,
sure.
sorry. So in a business context, how does that work? How does the distinction work? A client who maybe burned you or your coworker who did or did something
Yeah.
distrustful behind your back, right?
Yeah,
Took credit for
oh,
your
yeah,
work or whatever it is.
yeah, you say, for example, you have an irate client on the phone,
Mhm.
and it reams you out. It's just like, "Oh my god, you are so stupid. What's wrong with you? This is not what I asked for," and blah, 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 blah. Alright? Get off the phone and you are depleted, okay?
Mhm.
Down to 4, okay?
Yeah.
And then your best customer calls you up on the phone. Do you want to have a clear mind, or do you want to carry that conversation on to the next phone call?
Oh god, no, don't carry that over.
No. And how are you gonna do it? How I'd do it is I'd be saying those phrases about a dozen times, and then putting that all the thoughts I had about that client and myself and all the things he said to me about that. He was projecting and his own stuff onto you, and we accepted it. We need to let that stuff go.
Mhm.
So that's how you put it in practical sense. Get on that phone call, brand new phone call, brand new client. This is your favorite person. You don't have any of that stuff that was given to you. Um, transferring over into the next call. So there's a practical sense of it.
Yeah. Oh, interesting stuff. So we've got time for one more in the traditional interview segment of the show. And I'm going to go with this one. Um, if a founder or owner listening now is starting to think, oh shit, this might be me, because this is a little different, right? And they probably haven't
Mhm.
thought in this way before. What is one thing you want them to take notice of this week and start doing this week now,
All
to
right.
start heading in the right direction?
And you're right for saying it is different. It's not difficult.
Mm,
Okay. So it's difficult to maintain a low level of awareness because the lower you go from 10, the more difficult it is because you're going to have challenges because you're going to have lessons.
mm,
Unless you learn these lessons, you're going to repeat them over. It's a concept. Why does this keep happening to me? Because you
mm,
haven't figured it out.
yeah.
So I think for your audience right now is just to be aware of your thoughts because how often people think they are. Look at Descartes. I think, therefore I am. I say, I think, therefore I'm not. so,
Yeah.
so it's
Yeah.
really that 180 degrees difference. We have thoughts. So pay attention to your thoughts. What are you thinking? And is this thought supporting you or is it limiting you? And if it's limiting you, then do the process of give it to the altar. Okay.
Hmm.
Go
Hmm.
up. It takes you a second. It takes the mantras take about 20 seconds to 30 seconds. Um, Paying attention to something that really comes up hard, give it 5 minutes. Give that time to yourself to pull that nail out so you can heal.
Hmm. Yeah, and this is fascinating stuff because no, I'm not making golf is one thing; it's a much lighter topic, but it's the same thing I've talked about over and over. Is the negative thoughts, and most people are ridiculous when it comes to golf, and you can't be thinking about don't hit it in the water, right?
Yeah.
But it's the same thing. It's I'm not a good putter, I'm not good at chipping, or I'm not good
Yeah.
at the bunker play, and I'm just putting that out there because that's a very tangible thing that a lot of people could maybe identify with, but it's the same thing in business.
Yeah.
It could be I'm not good at public speaking, or I'm not a
Yeah.
good leader, or I'm
Yeah.
not really, maybe I'm not uh, outgoing enough to be a manager. I'm introverted or something, and
Yeah.
that's all wrong, right?
They're
So,
all limiting beliefs.
yeah,
How much energy does it take to say, I am a good speaker? I am a good golfer. Uh, I have my eye on the ball. My intention is that
mm,
little hole
yeah,
500 yards away.
well,
These are my intentionality. Golf is a great metaphor for
yeah,
how you can really use it for intentionality, intuition, confidence, and have confidence is words means with faith, knowing that you are doing the best that you can with the awareness you have, knowing that golf is a skill that you can develop
yeah,
from your awareness of who you are and you are perfect as you are. A lot of times I'll teach my client. I have a client today. I said, she started doing a condition. If I do this, whenever I hear them say if, I go, here it comes. Here's a term and condition they're putting on themselves. I tell them to take all, go up to the altar with every term and condition you ever made with yourself, tear up those contracts and leave them there.
mm,
Okay. Because we are divinely perfect as we are. If you think you can do a better job than who we were innately are, you're insane.
yeah, yeah,
So break all the contracts you have. Let your awareness run you. Marianne Williamson was saying during COVID, every morning she has a mantra. She says, tell me what to do, tell me where to go, tell me what to say, and to whom.
mm,
So be guided by your own intuition, be guided by your own intentionality, be guided by in alignment with your values, in alignment with happy, healthy, wealthy, healed and whole, or abundant, healed and whole. So really have that be your mindset and then align, get rid of any thoughts, feelings, and emotions that aren't aligned with that. And then what happens when you get rid of them all? You're happy, you're
yeah.
healthy, you're abundant, you're healed, and you're whole.
Perfect.
Common sense. Our sixth sense is our common sense.
Mm,
That is why we have intuition. That's how we know when someone's going to call when they call. That's when you think of someone, you see them at the supermarket. That's so we're all connected in that way.
mm,
It's not woo, it's common sense.
yeah,
And it's rash it says it's as rational as it is irrational. It
yeah.
is normal as it is paranormal. Okay?
Yeah. No, it is great. It is just thinking positively, and again, and I'm just going back to watch what a great par I'm gonna make. Not if I hit the ball out of the woods, maybe I'll make a par. Watch what a great par I'm gonna make.
Yep.
That's what my old coach used to teach me, but it's the same
Yeah.
stuff, right? So,
Yes. Yep.
that's where
Keep
I
your eye
was
on the ball. Keep your eye on the ball and draw the connection in your mind. Um, uh, Golf club to ball to hold,
yeah,
right?
it all that stuff, but I say this all because that's where my introduction to this way of thinking came from, Dr. Bob Rotella. So, anyway, it's fascinating stuff. So great first, part of the show, but we have to move to the segments. Let's roll. Before we move into Does It Hold Water and Chip Shots, I want to thank all of you who've been listening and supporting the show. Your customer, your success has grown and evolved, and I'm excited about where it's headed. That evolution also reflects the work I'm doing with Schooley Mitchell, helping businesses reduce operating expenses and improve profitability. If you'd like to learn more, there's more information and a link in the show notes. Now, let's see if it holds water. All right, everybody, it is time for Does It Hold Water, my favorite segment. This is where I ask our guests to be our resident expert witness for the day. I read them a quote, a piece of thought leadership, and they tell me whether or not it holds water, but more importantly, why. So, you ready? I got a good one for you, Steve.
Yes.
We're going to tie this back a little bit.
Yeah.
This is just a general quote, okay? Disagreeing with your boss is career sabotage.
Depending on if your boss is a good leader or not. If he's not a good leader, you want to get fired.
What if you don't?
He- um, yeah, if you don't, suck it up and be miserable and play the game often played.
Play the game off of plate, which really, okay. So I'm just trying to blend what you just told us with kind of challenging folks at work, right?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, if you want to keep your job, keep your mouth shut, play the game,
Okay.
and collect your paycheck, and be miserable. Okay, just know that you're doing that. Be aware of what you're doing, and be aware that you're limiting yourself, and be aware that you're limiting your leadership ability. You want to you. My definition of leadership is l- creating great leaders, creating people who are even better and smarter than you are, and setting them up, either expanding your operation or sending them on the way. They'll be your if they don't like you and they're a better leader than you, they're going to be your competition.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
So be careful
and they'll
there.
win.
No win, no win. True that. All right. Good enough. Let's move to chip shots. All right, everybody, it's time for chip shots. These are my shorter form questions, a little bit more personal, but still professional in nature. And Steve, we always start with the book question. Give us one book, if you don't mind, that has significantly influenced you personally, professionally, you name it.
The Course in Miracles was a book that changed my life. 36 years old. Probably the book that I can open up any page. For some, the Bible. For some, the Quran. For some, the
Mhm.
I Ching. You open up any page, and it's like, oh my God, this makes so much sense. I was just thinking about this. So it's like saying the same thing over and over and over again until you get it. So that's A Course in Miracle is my number one book. Did you want some more books that I
No,
really like?
by who?
Helen Schuckman wrote it. She actually channeled it. It took her seven
She,
years to channel.
you got to be kidding. Really?
No, no, the whole book written about it. She was interviewed by Morley Safer on 60 Minutes in the
Oh,
80s, and yeah, it's a whole story. It'd probably take me an hour to explain how it changed my life.
yeah. No, it
But that,
just, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Fascinating. And she was on 60 Minutes. No, that I don't know that one at all or her. Really good stuff. Interesting. Very interesting. I'll
Mhm.
check it out. All right.
Well, Marion Williamson has been lecturing around the world for the past 40 years from that book.
Really?
So she put the uses that Course in Miracles and puts it into every day. um, common sense, spirituality, common sense relationship work, common sense. It's common sense.
Mm,
So, as we talked about, it's not very common because we have an ego that is a saboteur.
that gets
That
in the way.
saboteur, it gets in the way. It sabotages our common sense.
Okay.
So,
Interesting stuff.
mhm.
Fascinating. All right. So this one's going to be, I don't know where you're going to go with this one. The leader question. If you could spend the day shadowing our current leader live, any profession, industry, who would it be and what would you hope to learn?
I would want to hang out with Eckhart Tolle for a day. We'd probably talk about nothing.
Talk about
Probably not even say a word. I would have. We'd probably just laugh. We just probably sit on a park bench and laugh. Yeah,
that could be the best answer to that question I've ever gotten. I'm just I'm
yeah,
gonna
yeah.
leave that
Probably
right
say
there.
nothing.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Oh my God. All right. Number three, is there a particular experience of failure early in your career that taught you a valuable lesson you still use today?
Yeah, I think in general it was a particular one. Mm, I don't even think that way anymore. I can't think of anything that I have any guilt or shame around or fear or self-doubt about, that everything I did was perfect. So I've gotten myself to the point I have no regrets, 0. I have nobody in this world I have to forgive. Nobody.
Mm,
I don't hang around with them. I don't get to see some of them
mm,
ever. Marianne Williamson also came up with a great phrase 30 years ago when I was there. You have to love everyone. You don't have to have lunch with them. Okay. There's a lot of people in this world I don't even want to have lunch with
mm.
or answer their phone call. And that's great. And out of respect, if they kept calling, I'd say, please don't call me.
Perfect. Brilliant. Absolutely love it. All right. Final question. What is the one question that you ask clients that never fails to deliver?
I'm going to take it from, oh, my favorite one is if I'm a month into working with a client,
Mm,
and if I haven't got them to 10 by the fourth session,
mm,
I give them the next one. And I'll say, how you doing today? I'll say, on a scale of 1 to 10, how's your life? Third session, going on a fourth session.
mm.
Oh, I'm about an 8. And I say to them, do you know how arrogant that is?
Right.
Oh, oh, I don't like to do it, but I have to for
Mm-hmm.
their own sake. Because if they said to me, I'm a 12, okay,
Mm,
that sounds arrogant, doesn't it?
mm-hmm. Yeah.
But when they say I'm 8, it's just as arrogant. And they're getting something out of it. They're getting sympathy. They're getting a reason to not be reach their full potential. And when I say that to them, oh, I don't take pleasure in it,
Mm,
but I do in fact that they automatically go, I get it.
mm,
You know, we were born perfect and we are to maintain that perfection awareness. You can't get perfect. Perfectionists try to get there. They try to, but you can't get there. That's why they're so. Who wants to hang around a perfectionist? I don't.
yeah. Oh, that,
Yeah,
but this is why you're so fascinating. But everybody's a 10. So I think people
everyone.
could think that's perfection, but it's not because you're not
No,
perfect.
and everyone is perfect, and they are okay. Everyone is God, special, not special. Get over it. How many people there are out there? They say 8.5 billion. I doubt it, but that's the going narrative,
Mm,
and everyone is so special, not special. So when you think you're special and more special than someone else, you are arrogant. When you think you're less than someone else, that's also arrogant. So the sweet spot is 10.
wow.
Be who you are. Be your authentic self. That is special, not special. Meaning that we are, the hardest thing in the world to be is yourself, because oftentimes we think, oh, I wish I was like uh, John Daly playing golf. Okay. Or I wish it was like, okay. Well, you want his skill, but you don't be like John Daly. You don't know what his life is like,
No, I
or
don't wanna
Tiger
be like
Woods.
John Daly, that's for
Well,
sure.
or Tiger Woods' personal life. You know,
I
you
don't
find
wanna
out
be like
whatever.
Tiger Woods, although
No, but
my
you what
body's
you
starting to shape a little bit like John Daly, but, that's a different story. But
yeah,
no, but you're right, yeah. Mm,
the skill level you can compare yourself to. What's
right,
he doing? You can look at techniques, but to be your authentic self from with the values and the awareness, that is what is so divine to be that. So the sweet spot is the hole in one is being 10. The
mm,
hole on the 18 of these that you are the whole, you are the shiny object, you are the uh the prize.
mm,
So
wonderful. Brilliant way to end it, Steve Barton. Please tell everybody where they can find you. This is great stuff.
thank you so much. And you're great to be an interviewer. And yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn, Steve Barton, High Performance Coaching. I do a check out my uh, content. All of the stuff's here. Go to my website, download the book, The Father, the Son, the Aha Moment. I wrote it with my 18-year-old son at the time. Um, it's about healing your inner child. It's about parenting. Show me a parent who's done the work, who's healed their generational trauma, their inner child. I'll show you a good parent. And I'm not a parenting expert. I am a mindset expert, and I know you give who you are,
Mm,
and you want to clean out all the stuff that you aren't.
that's for sure. Awesome. Thank you so much for being here today. And thank you all for watching or listening to your customer your success. If you're listening on the audio, don't forget there's the YouTube. And if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget there's the audio on all major podcast platforms. That is all for today. We'll be back with more customer experience leaders, thought leaders, all sorts of great leaders, just like Steve. That's all for today, folks. Bye for now. That's a wrap. Thanks so much for spending some time with us today. I hope the conversation gave you an idea or two you can put to work. If you enjoyed the episode, please subscribe, like, and share it with someone who might find the conversation useful. And if you'd like to work with me, I help businesses reduce operating expenses and improve profitability through my work with Schoolie Mitchell. You'll find more information and a link in the show notes. Until next time, I'm Gary Mara, and I'm working hard for your customer and your success.